All
Um,
right. Do you want to kick it off, Eitan, or we have a lot of new people,
yes.
I think.
Yeah, I'll kick this off. So cool. Well, welcome all. Yeah, I definitely there's a bunch of names here that I don't or I recognize maybe from the community or from around, but I haven't seen here before. So I just want to say welcome in. It's awesome to have a bunch of new faces. If you haven't been here before and you want to introduce yourself, that would be awesome. No pressure. I'll be quiet for like a minute or whatever, and everybody can go for it. And if you don't want to, it's also totally fine. Um,
Yeah, I'm going to do a quick introduction. I'm very interested. I think I spoke with some of you guys behind the scenes on issues or GitHub or whatever. Um, I work at Red Hat, and I'm very interested in moving key agent into OpenShift. So I've been doing a lot of tests. I actually have a cluster now running it and working, and gave some feedback on the Argo CDM CP server and the update for the tools that was not properly working, I guess. But now it is. I'm speaking with Christian Poster behind the scenes a lot and giving some ideas, and I found maybe I can just join the community call and give directly to these guys instead of pollinating a proxy, and it doesn't work much. So I'm happy to help anywhere you guys need assistance or relation to OpenShift or anything like that.
I have a
awesome.
question because I'm also like in process of adopting it to OpenShift, and also Eitan mentioned today we have some ports to change and other things. Do you have any branch or any repo where you have your specific OpenShift changes already that we can kind of
Good
maybe so
question.
we will not repeat each other?
No, I
Steel?
did everything on the fly because I was trying to get it working, and then I realized the service account created through the Helm chart creates a service account called key agent, right? The service account needs to expose port 80, and that's a privileged port in the cluster. So that
Exactly. Yeah. That's
and
exactly the
OpenShift,
point.
yeah, OpenShift blocks that by default on the RBAC through the SCC, privilege SCC. So what I have
There are
to
a
do,
couple of things related also to the images
Hold
itself.
on.
So
Let's
we
not
updated
to
them like with
Don't-
sorry.
not to
Yeah.
cut this off. Let's definitely dive into this. But there
So
are some other new faces that I would love
yeah,
to.
sorry, I
yeah,
don't want
thanks.
to monopolize this, but that's the idea, Dimitri.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No. Awesome. Thank you. Welcome. Yes. Absolutely. We should continue to have the conversation. But I want to, definitely let other people who are new introduce themselves. And we have a cool demo, I think. So, yes, Mayur.
Hey guys, my name is Mayur. I'm a solutions architect at Nirmata, and I know I've met a few of you on here. I am currently trying to work on implementing Kimono policies with Kagent, and excited to be joining my first community call.
Welcome. Yeah, we've talked for sure. Diego.
Thank you so much, Eitan. I'm Diego Braga, and hi to everyone. I'm CTO of Crateo Platform Ops, and today we will give you a brief demo of how we are integrating Agent with our platform. So I hope that everything will be good, fine, because it's a live demo, no registration, no picture, no video, stuff like that. So let's finger crossed all together. Thank you so much.
Awesome. We have Luca. Luca, I saw your hand going up.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Luca. Very quick introduction. I'm CTO of a small agency where we build Discord servers for brands and stuff. And I've been developing this week a small, if you're active a bit on the Discord, also I've been developing the Discord agent bot. And that's it.
Well, welcome. Yeah.
Nice.
Great to have you. Ready?
Yeah, that's me. Hi, everyone. I've already been here before, but I'm going to introduce myself anyway. I'm a platform engineer at Crateo. And hi, everyone.
Awesome. So I think that's all the people that have raised their hands. I'll talk blankly for another 10 seconds if anyone else wants to introduce themselves. But I think we reached the end of that. So let me quickly pull up the doc to see if we have anything. I know we have the demo plan, so let's jump straight into the demo to make sure that we have time for that and all related questions. And then if we have time at the end, we can jump into more conversation. So with that, I will hand it over to Diego and Betty.
Okay, no pressure then. So thank you so much for your attention. I have a couple of slides to give you a little bit of context, and then I will pass the mic to Reddy, who's gonna show the integration with Kagent and Crateo. So let me share a couple of slides, and I hope that you are able to see everything. So yeah, our project is Crateo is an open source internal developer platform. We started in 2021 because we said, okay, guys, we did an amazing job into the dev part of DevOps, but somehow the ops part of DevOps is not so modernized in terms of processes, automation, and stuff like that. Okay, so we thought that all the investments, all the processes implemented into the automating the software development lifecycle could be literally copy-pasted to the ops part of DevOps. So we said, okay, why can't we use Kubernetes not only for orchestrating containers for front ends or back ends or microservices, but why we don't use Kubernetes also to orchestrate any API that can be reached by the Kubernetes orchestrator. So we said, okay, let's push into this direction and say, okay, let's use Kubernetes as an orchestrator, which can orchestrate or containers or let's say custom resources that represent a logical abstraction of something that is outside Kubernetes. So we started in 2021 with this approach. And actually, we implemented the automation part of the platform. So we said, okay, let's put together these Kubernetes controllers and let's make them some building block for automation. And you can put up together these building blocks writing an end chart. So pretty much whatever is doing your dev team, we are saying that your ops team should do the same. Okay, let's use the same processes, the same tools, the same package manager tool, and stuff like that for Kubernetes controllers. We divided the platform in three pillars: the automation part, leveraging Kubernetes controllers; the composable portal, which is like an internal developer portal, just to make a couple of names. Backstage, we started from Backstage. And the FinOps part is the most, we are pushing a lot on this part because everyone is implementing automation and self-service approach if costs are immediately clear in terms of budgeting, in terms of monitoring costs through the time, and also and especially optimize these costs. So am I sure that my infrastructure is not over-provisioned, or maybe I can scale down my virtual machine, my database, maybe I can switch off my infrastructure during the weekend in terms of CO2 saving, in terms of ESG initiatives. So these are three pillars of CratEops, which is a completely open source platform, and you can find us on GitHub, and I will leave you a couple of links later on. And actually, we have been mentioned a lot of times in Gartner, so you can find us in a couple of emerging tech guides, and latest mention was in February of this year. So what you should think is that everything in Crateo is a Kubernetes manifest. So the portal, how you see our menu, our web pages, our graphical elements, our automation, our FinOps policies, it's a YAML file, for Kubernetes YAML file. So it's been a long journey. It's been 5 years, and we have just made a release of Crateo, which also, let's say, puts the minimal detail in every aspect on you can declaratively configure the entire platform. Because my idea initially was, if I'm able to define anything in the Crateo platform as a YAML file, then maybe I can use these YAML files to chat. I can chat with my knowledge base with the YAML file. Maybe I can find something that applies the YAML files for me. etc. And so the idea is that if everything is a YAML file, we are using Kubernetes, let's say, as a standard approach for the outside ecosystem from Kubernetes. We don't have to fight together. We don't have to struggle to decide how we write the auditing, how we can write the role-based access control, how we should write the connector. Everything is pretty much standard in Kubernetes. So the idea was, if the platform is completely based on Kubernetes, we are not a platform running on Kubernetes. Our backend is literally the Kubernetes API server. This wasn't the shortest path, as you can imagine, but the idea was, okay, once I'm able to describe everything with a YAML file, then in a certain point in time, we will be able to chat with these YAML files. And now we are here together. Why? Because now that Kratel is a completely YAML-defined platform, then we found, I was scouting some tools where maybe with the MCP, with some tools already available, it was difficult as a CTO to find out the right framework to write an agent that runs in Kubernetes, that has already some tools implemented, that has already some MCPs available. And so, a lot of frameworks to write agentic AIs, but these frameworks should run on Kubernetes. So it wasn't pretty much clear for me where we should head until K-Agent was announced. And so Reddy is my colleague here that will show the demo. And I asked to Reddy integrate K-Agent, give to K-Agent all the knowledge base of Kratel, give to K-Agent all the YAML files we'll produce in the last 5 years, and let's find a way to make K-Agent we are calling it the autopilot. So let's chat with K-Agent, and K-Agent can create something in Kratel. Not only suggest this is the YAML file you should apply in Kratel to extend the portal, to implement automation, to implement the FinOps policy, not only a suggestion, not only chatting with the agent, but also apply these YAML files for you. And the platform evolves with the K-Agent. And so this is still a POC, or let's say an MVP. We are working on that. We are evaluating models. We are evaluating how to fine-tune our documentation, which should be human readable, but also model readable, for a RAG. And we are working a lot on that, but if you're interested into the live demo, I would like to pass the mic to Reddy, if you don't have any questions for me.
Okay. Thank you. I am also going to share the screen for you guys so that we can move on with the demonstration. Screen. Okay, so just a quick overview of the architecture that we have built on top of K-Agent to create what we have called an autopilot that allows you to interact with Kratel. So the idea is very, very simple. Hopefully you can see my mouse. You have a user that submits a query to K-Agent, which leverages Olema and takes the query and uses the Qwen3 to process the query. We have tested a myriad of models, and we ended up converging to Qwen3 because we have the requirement that the model needs to run locally. So there are some versions of Qwen3 that are not too big. Also, Qwen3 has tools enabled and works quite well even with the 30 billion model, which is the one that we're using. Now, we have implemented an interesting technique that we found, which is the metadata filtering, in which we give the user query to the model, and we ask the model, given this query, can you find a sub-database, let's call it that way, which is most relevant to the query so that we can look into the vector database only for chunks that are relevant to that query. So the LLM does exactly that. It comes up with a filter, which we use in the retrieval augmented generation, in which we take the user query, we use an embedder, to embed the query, and then we perform a query on the database. The way that we have populated the database is going to be very familiar to everyone in this call. We took every documentation and repository that we had. We divided it in chunks. Now, there's quite a lot to say here, but I'm not going to today. It's extremely important that you get this step right if you want your vector database to work effectively, because we found that at the end of the day, 90% of the work lies in getting the vector DB right, so that you can always give the model the right context to actually carry out your queries. So we divided everything in chunks, we embedded everything, and we put it into the vector DB. Now we can run queries on this vector DB. And say we pull the top K chunks, doesn't matter what K is, let's say it's 3. And now we have additional context, which we can again feed to the agent. Cannot see my cursor anymore, there it is, which we can feed to the agent, which by the way, this component and this component are the exact same thing. I've drawn them twice just so that the diagram was a little bit more linear and you guys can understand it more easily. So now we have the additional context from the vector DB, we have the user query, and we have again the agent, which relies on Qwen3 to decide what to do. You know, if the question is a general question, you may not even use the vector DB at all and just straight up answer. It may use the vector DB and get additional context, or it could also use one of the tools at its disposal to operate on the Kubernetes cluster, or maybe even work with some resources that are internal to Cratero, which we will see later on in the demo, or install and work with Helm charts. So to sum up, we have the user query, we perform retrieve augmented generation if needed, and then we give a response to the user and apply function calls if needed. So now we can move on to the practical demo. On the left-hand side, you can see Crateo's user interface. Hopefully you can see that. And on the right-hand side is a K-agent. So what we're going to do today is pretend that we're a platform engineer that is new to Crateo and doesn't know how to work with it. So for instance, what we may want to do is authenticate. We do not know how authentication works. So what we can do is ask to the K-agent, how does authentication work in Crateo? And now what is going to happen is that the vector database is going to be queried. The relevant chunks are going to be found, and the LLM is going to summarize what the options we have to log into Crateo, which is exactly what is happening right now. You should know that there are plenty of ways to log into Crateo. For instance, you can use LDAP, you can use OIDC, or you can use a basic authentication which relies on Kubernetes resources. Specifically, to perform a basic authentication, you need to create a secret, exactly like shown by the agent, and then you need to create a user, like the agent is showing us. What we can do now that we know how to authenticate, we can ask the agent, can you create an account for me in my cluster? We can also obviously personalize our account. You can say that our name is, I don't know, Bilbo. And my password is, let's say, Hobbit. So what I expect to happen now is that the K-agent is going to generate 2 resources, like the one that it showed us, one for the user and one for the secret. Okay, so it has done exactly that. Now we should be able to log in using the username Bilbo and the password Hobbit. By the way, for those of you who are familiar with KAgent, you probably were expecting a function call to pop up, but it's up here. I'm not sure why, but it doesn't matter. It was applied. So we can say Bilbo and Hobbit. Okay. There's probably something wrong with this. Let's try that again. Okay, no problem. We can use a different account that I've created earlier. For some reason, it's not authenticating. Okay, where are you now? Okay, so now we have created an account. We have had some issues, but it doesn't matter. Let us do something different. Let us work with Krateo's resources, internal resources. There are plenty of those. What we're going to do today is play with composition definitions and compositions. You probably do not know what is a composition definition, so we're going to ask that to the agent. This is a composition definition in Krateo. So again, as earlier, I guess we can check. Yeah, we can definitely do that, Ethan. We are going to go back then, and we're going to see what went wrong.
No,
and see if the agent
we don't
can
have to
figure
do
it
that
out.
now.
Yeah,
we don't have to do that now. I just think it'd be funny.
Later.
Yeah. Okay.
Later. Yeah. I'm also curious to know what went wrong. Okay. Okay. So we were talking about composition definitions. Composition definition is a resource that is internal to Krateo. Specifically, it's a custom resource that defines how Helm charts are managed and deployed in Kubernetes. Basically, it acts as a blueprint for creating compositions, which are instances that deploy applications using Helm charts. So in a nutshell, you have an Helm chart, which contains whatever Kubernetes resources that you want. For instance, you may have a web server, like a Fireworks app that we're going to see later. And you define a Helm chart for it, and then you define a composition definition on top of it so that you can instantiate as many Fireworks apps as you need. So we have these composition definitions. We can ask the agent, can you apply that composition definition to my local cluster? Thanks. So we're going to install this blueprint now so that we can, as I anticipated, instantiate compositions. In fact, the agent is already suggesting that would you like to, with creating a composition based on that definition. So what we're going to do now is ask the agent for an example of a composition, because again, I remind you that we're playing the role of a person that is not familiar with Krateo. By the way, if we refresh this, we should see the composition. Yeah, there it is. So let's ask the agent, can you give me an example of the composition to go along with that composition definition? Yep, there it is. So again, as always, it queried the database. Again, we cannot see that because it's all at the beginning, but it queried the database and it pulled an example of a composition that can go along with that composition definition. And here it is. So just a quick overview of what this is. Again, this is a basically a composition for that composition definition. It has service so that we can access to it. And it also has Argo CD integration, and it also integrates with GitHub. Specifically, it is going to clone from a repository the Helm chart and the application itself, so all the Kubernetes resources, and it is going to clone this to an organization of our choice and a repository inside of that organization that we are going to specify. So now we're going to ask the agent to do exactly that. So instantiate, deploy this fireworks app with our organization. So we're going to ask, can you apply fireworks app to my local cluster? We're also going to specify that in the to repo field use test. Well, I don't remember what test algorithm. I have a test organization, test algorithm tool. So in the to repo field, use test org red 21 for the 21, sorry, for the organization name, and the fireworks app test for the repo name. Okay. So now all it's going to do, probably I expect, is to take this YAML file and use the apply manifest tool, which by the way it has suggested we do, with the modifications that we asked for. And what we expect once that is carried out is for the UI to show us the composition in here. Okay, still a question, is the manifest, oh man, I cannot find the chat because I'm using my phone, so I'm gonna read that later, okay? Sorry about that. Okay, so the agent claims that they've applied the fireworks app. We can verify that by refreshing the UI. And it is indeed there, and it is being applied. So what we expect now to happen is for our organization to contain a new repository with the name that we have asked for. While that happens, I'm gonna get that question real quick. Is the manifest to apply saved somewhere? So if you intend where it was pulled from, yes, it's in the documentation. If you mean something else, feel free to.
Yeah, I mean, when you produce a plan and it shows you, oh, hey, this is the manifest I would apply for you, then I'm happy with that. So that's the question: where does it pull it from? Is it going to regenerate it again, or is it just going to go wild and maybe apply something else? I've seen you creating the repositories. So is that where the source comes from? Because my only concern is that I would like that tool to pull from a static source, not from RAG or anything like that. I don't want my manifest to be open to interpretation and reinterpretation. So the entire flow you're showing is absolutely brilliant. Just, big heart, I love it. Just that question about the
Yeah, I can answer to you, Marcin. So out of the box, the idea is that we are applying directly the suggested YAML file. But if you want that YAML file suggested to be stored with a pull request on a GitHub or GitLab repository, it's something that you can or add into the composition definition or ask to Kagent. If you are, our idea is also to integrate the GitHub MCP server to open pull requests to a repo. So say, okay, nice suggestion, but I'll open a pull request there and start a GitOps process. So it depends. The worst answer is it depends.
No, absolutely. It depends, and definitely.
But you could do it. We want also to implement that use case. It's perfectly for us.
Yeah, for Sandbox or Dev, for instance, okay, let's go. Then we can pull that back from the dev and then go from there. But in some environments, we are not permitted to do that by regulatory requirements. I can't just do it's this. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I don't want it to modify the cluster. I cannot have it to modify the cluster, and having that option to flow through the chat, and then I'll tell you even more. Right? We have that in the PR. Then Kagent response. This is now ready for approval. Right? Have a people who have a code owner to approve it, and once it's done, I will roll it out for you.
Yeah.
And job done. And what else do I want? Nothing. That's it.
Yeah, it's perfectly. Yeah, it's a great use case actually, and we want also to support that. It depends on if you're using GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket, stuff like that. Then you need to understand if you want to use some MCP servers or put that kind of automation within the composition definition, also known as Helm chart, as we are applying to the cluster. So it depends on what you want to do where. So, but I think this is something we should showcase next phase.
I would love to, get in touch with you later on.
Yeah,
to
for
chat.
sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marcin, for your interest. We really appreciate it. Going back to the demo, as promised, a GitHub repository was created by the agent, and it has the Helm chart as promised, and it has been instantiated in my local cluster, and it also is showing up here. So that basically marks the end of the demonstration. Oh, before we actually end, let's go back to the previous example and see if we can debug what went wrong. Or rather, let's see if the agent can figure out what went wrong. Okay. So what we can do, I guess, is log out, log in again with this, and simply copy and paste the error that we were getting and see if it can, come up with a solution. Is that what you wanted to see, Ethan?
The funny thing is that we do know what went wrong, so we are double checking in the meanwhile the answer.
I think you can click on the session and download it. There is a download link which was added to the session history, and that would be actually good for analysis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that too. I think. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to. I just thought it'd be a fun idea, right? Like something went wrong.
No. I also want to do it. Yeah, I'm also eager to see what's going to happen. Although, let's see.
I can spoil you the answer. Let's see if it gets the right answer. Yeah. I don't know why, but the agent created the user on without associating the right cluster role, which is usually by default the cluster admin cluster role. Sorry. So we tested 1,000 times for sure. The 1,001 was wrong. So, But this is, business as usual.
Now you see my concern. Now you see
But
my
I did figure
concern.
it out. Huh?
Anyway, no, listen. The answer is somewhere in the middle, right? Like it's
Yes,
smart,
yes.
but it needs to be guided and all these different things. But yeah, I think this was first of all, thank you. This was an amazing demo. Like really, really cool to see like a real world
Yeah.
use case. It's so cool. Awesome to see just like people using and getting real value out of this in the wild. That's amazing. Martin, I agree with you too. And I think that's also some of what Peter and Jason Clark also were working on in their live streams about more Terraform and GitOps support. I definitely think that a huge future use case in K-Agent is going to be GitOps. And I would love going forward to have more GitOps related operations in agents, in tools, etc. And so, yeah, that's definitely something that we'd love to see more of because I think that the beauty lies somewhere in the middle. So, yeah, Samuel.
Yeah, I'm very involved with the Open GitOps community as well. So I was actually asking to see the composition again, because I see a lot of in the YAML, a lot of pieces all together. And from the GitOps perspective, like you said, that doesn't look too much GitOps in my opinion. So is it like a way to organize that better or split those resources into multiple resources instead of just one giant one?
Yeah, so what you see here, this YAML file is the reflection of the values YAML or value schema JSON file of an M chart. So I left a link in the chat.
Okay.
The last link is a repository where we store these M charts. So actually, the Argo CD part, there is the Argo CD controller which we didn't wrote, but we use the Argo CD out of the box. We wrote a GitHub controller. We wrote a Git controller that does basically the Git clone and Git push, and we stuff like these are different custom resources for the different controllers, and we put them together in an M chart. And what you see here as a composition is basically the values YAML you are passing to the M chart. What we are adding,
would you version that on the Git repository and make it as a source of truth?
Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean,
Okay,
if you
so
are.
That's the intention of my question, I guess. So what you see in the Git repositories should be reflected in the cluster. So that's one of the premises of GitOps, right? Which brings a lot of discussions, and I'm not getting into that. Like what you see in a Helm chart doesn't reflect what you have in the cluster. What you see in a customized repo is not what you have in the cluster because you build those in runtime, right? So I'm just asking in a better way to shape this instead of just one giant YAML where you have different pieces of responsibility like Git and Argo and everything all together. Could it be like you split it into multiple assets or multiple resources?
So taking a step back, hold on. I think I definitely think this we should get up to a whole different conversation we can definitely get into. I think this is more focused on Criteo, right? Not to I think definitely if we want to do this, I think we should happy to pull this over to the Discord. But I just want to be I just want to say that we have only a couple minutes left. So I think I would, if anyone has any questions that are specifically about the demo as it relates to K-Agent, things like that, I think let's just focus up a little bit, and then we can potentially talk about the details of the Criteo side later, if that's all right. Okay, Dimitro.
Yeah, I just wanted to have say thank you. I liked really the idea that K-Agent works as a side kind of panel from the design perspective in the demo, but actually I realized it's not embedded in your UI, right? Do you plan to kind of have it embedded?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it will be embedded for sure. Right now we are evaluating the approach, but the idea is to integrate the agent within the platform.
Okay.
From a UI
so just from the UI point of view, then, because we have our existing session history and other things, and if you embedded it on, let's say, like this on the right side, it creates slightly like overlaps on that. But I really like that it was shown this way.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's I think we are working on Kagent. It's 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks at maximum. So still a lot of things to integrate and use cases. And I'm really happy about your feedbacks about GitOps and how you should render your manifest and stuff like that. We are eager about use cases and feedbacks. So yeah, thank you so much for for your questions and for your ideas for next use cases to implement. The overall idea is that Kagent is a perfect fit for us. Since every part of Crateo, what you see here, I don't know if Reddy, could you go back to the user that has a cluster role admin? If you navigate Crateo, you see a portal here, and yeah, in the menu on the left, the items in the menu, the tab list. Every time you click on a tab, you open. So my front end is not. Let's see if we are able to see something. But basically, every part of the portal is a yeah. We see just the login page.
Okay. Sure. Okay, there it is.
There it is. So everything, the chart pie, the table, the fact is within a panel. These are all YAML files in Kubernetes, strongly typified. So we apply role-based access control on that. So if you access to Crateo, you don't have the permission to read a certain YAML file in a certain namespace, then the portal adjusts the visualization for you. So the idea is that also Kagent is completely declarative. So also the vision about being completely declarative embraces our vision. And the fact is that we are all the work we did making everything in a YAML file helps us with Kagent. So Kagent creates YAML files for us, and the portal adjusts just because Kagent is doing something we asked him or it.
We also love how the agent itself is a YAML file. The Llama deployment is a YAML file. We love that approach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that was the end of the demonstration. Thank you very much for having us. We're super eager to come back and see what the community is up to. So again, thank you for having us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you for
on.
your time.
This was awesome. And I just want to say, anyone else on the call, if you have use cases that you want to demo, if you know people who are using Kagent, like reach out. We'd love to get people on and sharing their use cases. I think this, is one of the most valuable things we can do with this time. So, yes. Alrighty. Great meeting everyone. I think we're at time. So I definitely recommend everyone, if you haven't already, to join the Discord. There's plenty of conversation happening in there all the time. Lots of cool people talking about cool things. And I will see you all next week. Alrighty.
Bye.
Oh, Aidan.
Bye, everyone.
Hey,
Thank you.
Aidan, hold on a second.
What?
Bye.
What's up?
The contributors meeting?
Oh yeah, I need to. For those who are interested in the contributors meeting, you can hang on for a second. So it's a good question. Actually, So I looked at the poll, and basically it was split 25, 25, 25, 25. So there is no good option. How do people? The winner was Thursday at what was it? 11:30 EST. So is that okay for people? If speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm good. So
So 11:30
Right.
EST is 8:30 PST, and then European time
4:30 London, 5:30 rest.
5:30 is Central. Yeah.
Cool. That's amazing. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and schedule that. So I think we'll have the first one. So this Thursday is a federal holiday in the US. So I'll schedule the first one for next week. And I see, So someone raise their hand?
No, just click the run button. Ignore me.
Oh, all right, cool. Okay, so I'll schedule the first one for next week, and we'll start with a bi-weekly cadence. Yeah, so I'll see. Well, I guess I'll see you all at the next weekly meeting, and then at the at the contributors meeting. So yes, okay. Glad that everybody can still do it, even though not everybody voted for it. I was really worried when the votes split. I was like, well, shit, we're never going to figure this out. But awesome. Okay, cool. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, thank you.